Government House Leader.
Thank you very much, Speaker, for recognizing me to speak on this motion that relates to Bill 53, the Government Contract Wages Act 2018, and I'm really pleased to take some time to talk about this very important bill and the motion related to it, Speaker. Speaker, as you very well know, coming from building trades yourself, this is a very important piece of legislation that deals with government project in the construction, building services, and building cleaning sectors, ensuring that those workers, people who work in those areas, are paid fairly. Speaker, to echo our Premier, every worker deserves to be paid a fair wage, and every business bidding for government contract deserves a fair shot. Speaker, I have the great opportunity to work with people in the building trades in my community of Ottawa Centre. They are extremely hardworking individuals that are literally building things up every single day. One of the most incredible things, Speaker, and you know this yourself, meeting with a construction worker or a laborer is when you shake their hands, and just by their hands you can tell that they've been working with their hands all their lives. These strong, rugged hands, and Speaker, it's a symbol to me of the equal contribution, the amazing contribution they're making on the kind of infrastructure that we use every single day. And take it for granted. Speaker, when I look in my community of Ottawa Centre, I am amazed by the development and the progress that is taking place, that is funded by the Ontario government. And that is true for every single sector, things that we rely on to improve our quality of life, such as healthcare, education, and the broader infrastructure like public transit, etc. For example, Speaker, if I were to look around in my community of Ottawa Centre around the healthcare field, I see that all three community health centres in my riding, Centretown, Somerset West, and Carlington community health centres, are going through incredible growth. In fact, to the point that we are expanding them through increases in infrastructure. The Centretown Community Health Centre is going through an expansion by a $5.4 million investment from Ontario government, where they will be able to serve more people in our downtown community in Ottawa with important services around mental health and addictions, and of course, primary care. The Carlington Community Health Centre, which straddles between Ottawa Centre and Ottawa West Nepean, that I share with MPP Shirali, is also going through actually an incredible expansion, where we are now building a new housing hub at that site by building over 40 new units for seniors, while they can also access on the main floor healthcare services. So making sure that not only they continue to live independently, Speaker, but also they have access to the critical healthcare services they need in their elderly age, so that they remain healthy and therefore live longer independently. Those two investments are extremely important. Similarly, Speaker, we just recently opened and expanded Ottawa Heart Institute, which is a jewel in the healthcare system in Ottawa and Eastern Ontario, providing world-class cardiac care. We just built a new tower on the site by investing $200 million, which is providing state-of-the-art new ICU units, surgical rooms, technology that is being used, Speaker, now at that hospital, which is nowhere being used anywhere in the world. And I'm just not exaggerating. This is exactly directly coming from Dr. Thierry Messana, who's the CEO of the Heart Institute, because it's so new that they've been able to use technology that they're the first hospital. And that's just so exciting and thrilling to know that that's the quality of services that we are providing to our citizens, to my constituents in Ottawa Centre. But speaking of future projects in the healthcare sector, what we're really excited about is building a new civic campus of the Ottawa Hospital. Civic campus in my riding is almost 100 years old. It has It has a incredible story. In fact, royalty was born there at one time. It was declared a territory of Netherlands during the Second World War, and the current Queen, I believe, of Netherlands was born at the civic campus of the Ottawa Hospital. But that hospital is almost 100 years old, and we need a new hospital for the growing city for the next 50 or so years, and we've announced a $1.8 billion commitment to build a new civic campus right in downtown core on public transit by way of the LRT Trillium line, so that it really sort of fills the modern needs of my community and the city I live in. But this is an example of a public infrastructure projects where many construction workers are going to work day in and out to make sure that this hospital is one of the best in Canada. In fact, I am confident, Speaker, is going to be one of the best in North America. Similarly, Speaker, as I see the work that's happening on Carleton University with more new state-of-the-art buildings coming online with new labs, it's very, very exciting. I also have the great honor of representing Carleton University. In fact, Speaker, if I could also take a quick moment and congratulate the appointment of Dr. Antoine Benoit Bacon, who is being named as the 15th President and Vice Chancellor of Carleton University. He comes from Queen's University. He'll be studying, my understanding is July 1st. I want to congratulate him on this incredible appointment and very much look forward to working with him as we build Carleton University. I'm an alumni of the university, live in the neighborhood, and it's a university that is building a bright future for so many students in our community that's serving Ottawa and our province. And Speaker, speaking of important public and social infrastructure, of course, there's nothing more important than building schools in our community where our young, bright minds go, and very excited about schools like Broadview Public School, a $15 million investment in the great community of Westboro in my riding, which is complete and up and running. Kids still tell me it still smells like a new school, which is very exciting. It replaced an older school that goes back to almost like First World War, so it was a much needed building of new school. We recently announced $3.6 million to build an addition to Amdale Public School in Westboro Village as well, which is another great school in my community. And of course, Speaker, we just started a new French public school in my riding, Satanor, which we're hoping to build a new school, a new building for that as well. This, Speaker, happening on top of all the great investments that are happening in relation to the light rail transit. Stage one of it, which Ontario contributed $600 million, which is a game changer for Ottawa, is the largest public infrastructure project in the history of Ottawa since the building of the Rideau Canal. This is how significant this LRT is to the city of Ottawa in terms of really sort of bringing us in that 21st century ecosystem, in terms of our economy, in terms of our society, in terms of leveling the playing field for everyone that calls Ottawa home. And what's exciting is that we're already working on the stage 2 of LRT that will go east, west, and south of the city, further beyond downtown, connecting all sort of the neighboring communities that are just outside the downtown core into some of our suburban communities. It's a significant contribution that Ontario is making, roughly about $1.6 billion in terms of the building of that. All that is just incredible investment that is taking place in addition to the affordable housing that we're building in Ottawa. I think in Ottawa alone, Speaker, we have built about 1,700 new affordable housing units over the last several years, which is ensuring that people of all means are able to take advantage of these very important investments. But Speaker, that has resulted in some incredible boon in our economy as well in Ottawa in terms of new jobs being created, a lot of them in the construction sector. I'm really happy to share with you, Speaker, that the unemployment rate in Ottawa is around 4.8%. It's actually lower than the unemployment rate for Ontario, which is also one of the lowest in Canada, around 5.5%, lowest since year 2000, almost 2 decades now, which shows how much our economy is booming. And we want to make sure, Speaker, that everybody benefits from that boon in the economy, that everybody is able to take advantage of this incredible growth that is taking place, and nobody is left behind. And that's why, Speaker, we brought in Bill 148, for example, which has been a landmark legislation to modernize our labor and employment laws. Through Bill 148, Speaker, we've raised the general minimum wage to $15 an hour starting January 1st, 2019. I hope that stays true after this election, Speaker. We've introduced 2 paid sick days for all. We've increased vacation time. We've introduced equal pay for equal work. And we have increased and strengthened enforcement as well. And that is why, Speaker, Bill 53 is important, because it's another progressive piece of legislation that ensures that we have pay transparency in our province. And that's why, Speaker, I'm very happy to be speaking to this bill, which will protect workers' wages on government contracts. This legislation will enshrine the principle of a fair prevailing wage into law and provide the necessary support and enforcement to make it work. It is what is fair, and it is the right thing to do, Speaker. Speaker, obtaining a government procurement contract should not be an invitation to lower workers' wages in these sectors or industries. Workers' wages should not be the primary factor in bidding. Our government is committed to building a strong workforce, fair, balanced, and progressive policies for Ontario workers and employers. We have instituted a plan that includes making the largest investment in public infrastructure in Ontario's history. I gave you many of those examples that are taking place just in my community in Ottawa Centre, in building new hospitals, in building new schools, in expanding Carleton University, in building the LRT, the public transit infrastructure, not to mention cleaning up Ottawa River through the Ottawa River Action Plan. And I think, Speaker, this particular legislation will go a long way in making sure that all those workers who've been working in those sectors get the prevailing fair wage that is going to bolster our economy further. Because I can tell you, by talking to these workers, by spending time with these workers, they will tell you that they spend all that hard-earned money right in our local community. They are a great economic generators for us, and when we support them, they support the broader economy. Speaker, in my last few moments, I just want to take an opportunity to give a shout out to another incredible champions in my community that probably exists in all our communities, and that is a gentleman by the name of Mo Atalla. Mo Atalla, Speaker, is the owner, the proprietor of Newport Restaurant in my community of Ottawa Centre. He is a much loved individual for everything that he does for our community every single day, not only creating employment for people, but by way of his philanthropy and giving back. Mo is one of those great quintessential Canadian story where he came as an immigrant in his teenager years from Lebanon. Speaker, he started working as a dishwasher in a kitchen, in the back of the kitchen, and now he owns businesses. He owns a very successful restaurant. The best pizza in town, definitely and out of my community, is the pizza from Newport. But Speaker has never forgotten where he came from. He's never forgotten what he struggled through, and he makes sure that everybody gets an opportunity to succeed. In order to celebrate Mo, Speaker, I'm really happy to share with you and this House that last Saturday he was given by our Mayor Jim Watson the key to the city. It was a great surprise for Mo. He was in tears because as he said, he never thought one day that he will have the key to the nation's capital. But that, Speaker, speaks to our great society, speaks to a great community that Mo has helped build, but more speaks of people like Mo Atalla, who has given so much to our community. I'm very proud to call him as my personal friend. He's always been very kind to me, and I just want to thank people like Mo and many others in our communities who are helping to build that community, who are creating those opportunities, so that investments that we are talking about today have a real direct meaning to people's life. These are not abstract things. These things impact all of us directly, and that's why, Speaker, I'm really proud to support Bill 53, and the motion associated with it. Is important that we get this passed before the House adjourns for the upcoming election. Thank you very much.